All right, so this is starting on page 8. So the force versus displacement graphs. I like the graphs because they're easy. Okay, so basically anytime we want to find work on a graph, it's the area under the curve. Okay, so basically you can find the area of either a square or a triangle and stuff. That's pretty much all you got to do. So if you want a refresher on the area of a box or a square or a rectangle, that is base times height. Okay, so the area of a triangle would be 1/2 base times height, which should make sense. Triangle's half of a square. So on my example, it says how much work is done by the moving of the object with a displacement of 6 meters to a displacement of 10. So that means I'm starting at 6 and moving at 10. Okay, so basically what I do is I care about what is the area from 6 to 10. That'll tell me how much work is being done. So remember, work equals force times distance. If you notice, your y is your force and your x is your distance. So that's area under a curve is x times y. So my force, the total amount of force being done from 0 to looks like 2.5. So that means my height is 2.5. From 6 to 10, so horizontally, that'd be a distance of 4. Just be careful. Don't start at 0. Okay, don't go from 0 to 10. All I care about is from 6 to 10. So the difference would be 4. So work equals force times distance. So my force was 2.5, my y. And your x, or your distance, was 4. So 2.5 times 4, and that gives me 10 joules. And there's your answer. Okay, number 2 is we have a couple shapes here. We got this rectangle and a triangle. It says how much work is being done from 0 to 20. Okay, so I don't care about that triangle part right now. Okay, so my height, or my y, my force, from 0 to 100, so that'd be 100. And my distance, I went from 0 to 20. Oops. So that'd be, my x would be 20. So work equals force times distance, so 100 times 20. And that gives you 2,000 joules. Now, how much work was done by a moving object from 20 to 30? Okay, so now I care about the triangle. I don't care about the rectangle. Okay, so from 20 to 30, my x would be 10. And my height is still 100. Okay, remember it's from the highest point. So, remember this is a triangle, so work equals 1/2 base times height. So my base would be 10. My height would be 100. So my answer would come out to be 500 joules. Now, how much total work is being done? All you got to do now is just add up both the shapes. So just add that 2,000 we found in part A plus the 500 we found in part B, and that comes out to be 2,500 joules. Okay, moving on to the next one. A force exerted by a toy rocket engine starts from 0 newtons and increases to 2 newtons as it moves the rocket 1 meter. The force remains constant as it moves the rocket 2 meters more, and then it slowly decreases to 0 again as the rocket moves 1 meter more. Based on the graph, what is the total amount of work being done by the engine? Okay, so again, that just basically explains the graph. Now, you can do the trapezoid equation if you want to. I always find it easier is if you just split it up into triangles and rectangles. That usually saves people a lot of hassle. Okay, so I'm going to split this up because I want to figure out what my total work is being done. I'm going to say this is part A, this is part B, this is part C. So I'm going to find those areas for each one. So step 1 is I'm going to find the area of A. So work equals, it's a triangle, so 1/2 my base. My base goes from 0 to 1. And my height goes from 0 to 2, so my height would be 2. So that means it would basically be 1 joule. B, I have a square. So I'm going from, so this is square, so work equals base times height. So I'm going from 1 to 3, so that's 2. My height is still 2. So 2 times 2 gives me 4 joules. Now part C is basically the same thing as part A. It's just the opposite. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that's 1 joule. Now, I want to know the total work being done. So step 2 would be the simplest part. All you got to do is just add all those up. So 1 plus 4 plus 1. That means the total amount of work being done is 6 joules. Number 2 says force. So constant force of 40 newtons acts on an object and moves at 5 meters. The force suddenly changes to 20 newtons and moves 10 meters more. Based on the graph, what is the total amount of work being done by the engine? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into pieces again. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this down. And I'm going to connect this down. So basically, I've got a square and a rectangle. So I'm going to label this one A. I'm going to label this one B. So step one, I'm going to find the part A. So A, work equals base times height. So my base is from 0 to 5, so that's 5. My height is 40. So that comes out to be 200 joules. Now part B, I go from 5 to 15. Okay, so my base would actually be 10. My height goes from 0 to 20. So that's going to be 20. So 10 times 20 gives me 200 joules. So even though they look different, they're both the same amounts of work. Now, step number 2, I want to know what was the total amount of work being done. So all I got to do is add those up. 200 plus 200. And that gives me 400 joules. Now, last one on this one is 3. Find the total amount of work done on the object as the object moved from 0 to 8. Okay, so I'm going to split this up. So I'm going to start solving these. I think you're kind of figuring out what to do here. So it's already kind of drawn into pieces for you. So I'm going to find this first square on the bottom. So base is 0 to 4. Height is 5. So 5 times 4 will give me 20. Okay, box on top. Okay, goes from 5 to 10. So my vertical is 5. My base is still 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, the next box, even though it looks a little different, I go from 4 to 8. Okay, so base is 4. Height still 5. So that's 20. And then up here, 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 my base is 4. My height is 5. So basically 1/2 of 20 would be 10. Now, I just want to know from 0 to 8. So all I got to do is add those up. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10 gives me 70 joules. B, find the total amount of work done as the object moved from 0 to 14. So now I actually care about the total. So let's go ahead and find the next one. So 8 to 12 would be 4. My height is still 5. 4 times 5 gives me 20. Okay, now if you be careful with this, you can get trapped on it looks the same, but just make sure you pay attention to your numbers. My base is now 2, so 12 to 14. My height's still a 5, so 2 times 5 would be 10, but half of that since it's triangle, so that means this is actually 5. Now total work, all I got to do is just add all those up. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10 plus 20 plus 5, and that comes out to be 95 joules.